back to Rocket Coffee Talk series. I'm Camila, Communication and Partnership Manager here at Rocket, and I'm super delighted to host the show together with my colleague Dominikas, who is Community Manager.
Hi, everyone.
And we are super excited today to introduce our newest members, Datahood. They joined Rocket as a part of Rocket Impact Acceleration Program and finished that, graduated that. And today we're gonna talk more about you, about what you do, and so on. So, Dominikas, the word is for you.
It's so nice having you us.
Good
here,
morning.
guys. Good morning, right?
Good
Hello.
morning.
Yeah, I hope you're doing great today, and you had a perfect morning with the coffee.
As ever.
And so, to begin with, the first question, Saul and Matas, as we know, both of you are architects who are passionate about smart cities and technologies. Could you tell us more about yourself, how you met, when you started your startup journey, and how you came up with the idea Datahood?
So many questions.
Yeah.
So we can start with the first introduce yourself.
So hi, I'm Saule, and I used to call myself an architect. I still sometimes do. And I graduated in architecture, then I worked as an architect. But then after a while, I was interested a lot in cities, and I started thinking, okay, so today we have so many technologies like data science and all this machine learning and all these interesting things. But somehow when we talk about city planning and city management, we still use those outdated methods and just basing our work on experience and intuition. So then I thought, okay, how can I learn more about data science and everything to be applied in city planning? So I went to study in one institute. I did my master in city and technology. There I learned all those things, and also at the same time I met Matas.
So, Matas, what is your story?
My story, very similar, architecture, and then working with lots of different technologies, how to improve this field. So architecture and urban planning is known as a very, very historic field, and it hasn't changed over centuries too much, right? We got now computers, but still the traditional methods of constructing, and building our cities haven't changed so much. So I was always curious about, how can technology influence and impact the well-being of people who live in cities. So I think it's very important to, when we talk about architecture, when we talk about the public space that we create in cities, it's important to talk about people first. Who are we creating those cities for? So being passionate about these things, we met up with Saule and we started chatting about, how could we bring this technology back home to Lithuania? Saule mentioned she studied in Barcelona. This is where I did some work experience in the same institute. And it kind of built our base, our foundation for understanding what is technology and how can technology influence urban planning and city development. And then we started chatting, and we came up with the concept that we should do something together with data and see how data could influence decision makers in cities. And so we worked towards that, and fast forward, we came into Rocket Accelerator, Impact Accelerator, and started doing a startup instead of just nimbling around these concepts.
So, what's the philosophy behind Datahood? So it's data and it's smart cities.
Data and hood.
Datahood.
Data and hood. Actually, the funny thing how we came up with the name was that we're thinking, about neighborhoods, how cities around the world, they have lots of, kind of big separation between what happens in Old Town and in suburban places, and how people are dependent on transportation to get access to services. So we started thinking, how could we influence development of neighborhoods with the regards of data, and that's how Datahood was born.
Wow, nice. So you mentioned that you studied in Barcelona, and currently now you live in Vilnius. So let's look around. Is Vilnius smart city already, or it's on the way there? Could you tell what you think about what could be improved in our city?
Yeah, to begin with, smart
Saule
city.
hates the word smart city.
So what should we use instead of smart city?
Yeah, smart city itself is not it's not something wrong with this term, but it imposes that when we think about smart city, we often refer to cities that are full of sensors and technologies and all these digital devices. But at the same time, when we talk about smart cities, it doesn't matter what's the purpose of those sensors. Usually it's just to be digital and smart and full of sensors and everything. But if city doesn't have those sensors, it doesn't mean it's not smart. Therefore, we are more using the term intelligent city. So it means that, okay, we have sensors and we have some tools to track life within the city, but at the same time, it's really important. Why do we do this? It's not just to have sensors for have sensors, but it's more to track the life of people, to understand how they move, where they go, what they like, what's open in one place and what's closed in another. So this is more about being intelligent instead of smart. And also, smart city imposes that if you don't have those sensors, you're stupid cities, which is not true.
So is Vilnius intelligent city, or
Yeah.
it's on its way?
I think Vilnius is on a very good way. This is one of the reasons why I personally was very happy to come back home and work here, because there's always an opportunity to go to work in another big company, in another great country, and to earn a lot of money somewhere else. But at the same time, I thought, okay, Vilnius is now in a very good moment of opening its data to begin with, which allows us to create more technologies over it, and it's full of young, talented people, and it's a place where it's ready to be made, something to have this change towards more intelligent cities. So I think it's a very good place to start.
Guys, we often talk about 15-minute city idea. So Matas, can you comment on that? What does it mean for you, 15-minute city idea, and how it should work, how it should operate this 15-minute city? How it's your ideology or
So actually, it was. I think it's a very, very old concept. I think it dates back to the times where people used to live in villages, and the concept in the village used to be that you can walk out and go and get the groceries you need, go to the post office or see your local doctor, and meet your friends or go to a pub, and so very, very recently, I think just around Corona kicked in. Mayor of Paris said, we're going to try and make Paris as a 15-minute city. And what that means in modern terms is that people have to reach every necessities they have within 15 minutes walking distance, or I think 5 or 10 minutes cycling. So then when we imagine the city as a big scale, you just need to walk out and you get everything you need. That's put very, very simply. And then I met this one person and said, so what you're talking about is 15-minute city concept is just lots of little villages within the city, So absolutely right. I think, and the concept behind this is that people are very dependent on private vehicles, take your kids to school or go to shopping, go to work, office or leisure and so on. And the main concept around this is to decrease the car dependency and increase walkability. And when walking, lots of very, very nice things happen. First of all, health-wise, it's healthier to walk than sit in enclosed environments. And, and in terms of Corona, let's say, sit in the public transport, let's say, could become problematic. So lots of beautiful things happen when we walk. We meet other people. We get to know our local community, local vendors. We support even local economy to some sorts.
For the locals.
Yeah. So what's the Datahood role in this 15 minutes city idea, and how it helps actually to reach this?
Yeah. So 10 or 15-minute concept. This was where we started from, and also because we lived in other big cities, we realized that it's very nice to have your local bakery or local bar or whatever, all your needs within this walkable distance. So we thought, okay, Vilnius is very centralized. So we have very cool and very nice and very vibrant city center where we have all the pubs and leisure. But at the same time, we have those neighborhoods where people just sleep and do nothing else because there's nothing else to do. There are no businesses, no activities, just very few shopping malls. So everything is very centralized. And this is where we started with Matas, that we thought, okay, so if you're a business and you tend to open up in place where you think there will be bigger revenue or just more people coming around, so probably you will open up in either city center or shopping mall. But the truth is that the majority of people, your audience of those businesses, it lives actually in those neighborhoods where there's nothing to do. So if we can bring those businesses, so if we know that there are young people who really would like to have a cup of coffee in there because they're strolling around with their children or something like that, so maybe we should open a coffee shop in there instead of opening the, I don't know, 10
Another coffee shop in the street, right?
in the street, exactly. So that's the main idea. So if we can show the data and show the business where your customer actually lives, and there are no other coffee shops around, so maybe this is the place where you make much more bigger revenue than opening at Vilnius Street. And at the same time, you will improve local communities. So at the same time, there will be someone who has to work in that coffee shop, so maybe there will be locals working in there, and there will be more
And
things
they
to do.
don't
and
need to
then
drive in the city and so on and so on.
Exactly. And then you will start working more about your neighborhood and you don't need to drive and all these things, they're just like adding to each other, and this is how new neighborhoods, lives in new neighborhoods create. In the beginning we had Old Town, now you can see this around Naujamiestis.
Yeah.
So it's something like, it has this effect. So I think it's expanding, but quite slowly. So with data we can do it faster.
Can you point a few, I don't know, cities in the world that is inspiring you and you could, follow it, and Vilnius could follow those examples in terms of those neighborhoods?
I think we can get from the city that we met from Barcelona is the same, that we have like local neighborhoods with local Rambla, which is like local high street where people and vendors of that neighborhood come and sell and meet and buy and just gather around. So each neighborhood has its own Rambla. The same as in UK with high streets.
London's the same. Even now, I think about Vilnius. In 19th, 20th, beginning of the 20th century, like areas like Žvėrynas, used to be not part of the city. It was like a small little village. That's why we have architecture. So one story, pitched roofs, kind of old school and so on. Something happened in the 90s, I think, with the rise of capitalism and the fall of the Soviet Union. Is that when commerce became available, and bigger and bigger, the competition became very, very uneven. So we have a growth of supermarkets and fall of small vendors, local vendors. So I think we used to have Vilnius also like this place where everything is met inside, but then something kind of took it away and suburbia started expanding. It's also about accessibility or better quality of life that we were promised, as we entered the European Union or as the economy grew, we could build our own house and so on and so on. So I think even Vilnius used to be a little bit like that. And if you look at the history of a lot of cities around Europe, at least around Europe, American cities is a little bit different. But a lot of those cities in Europe, they were developing as individual small kind of colonies, and then they were growing so much that they outgrew their boundaries and they merged their boundaries with another boundary, and that's how a bigger city became. That's how it grows.
So you can see the pattern of a bigger city. So we talked about the past, so let's talk about the future.
Flying cars
and flying cars and etc. Because Datahood solution sounds like you guys work towards a better future. And I have a question. Let's imagine you are 10 years ahead. And where are you, for example, in Silicon Valley, or in the countryside by the lake, or even selling the Datahood or something?
Or creating another startup
Or
already.
creating another startup.
We had this task, and I think I don't know if it was in 10 years or in which period we said that we are creating a colony in Mars, where you have everything within walking distance. To drive. But my
I
personal
would love to live in that hood.
Mars hood.
Mars hood. Yeah, but my personal vision is that Vilnius should be more walkable, and in 10 years from now, we would have neighborhoods where people walk instead of drive to have fun in the Vilnius street. But yeah, in terms of Datahood, do you have any visions?
Yes, what are we doing? What's happening?
No,
Where are we at?
Besides Mars hood.
I think it's very interesting in the startup community environment. You got to ask all these questions, valuation,
Always.
exit strategy, this and that. But what I found best for my heart is to measure an impact and measure in, what can we achieve. So when we talk about 10 years, I hope we can, impact 100 cities and make them more livable around the world. So Mars is kind of a joke because I think we still have so many opportunities here. But with the rise of new technology and people exploring space, we kind of get distracted from how beautiful it is and how great it is in here. So talking about Datahood, I hope we can create a lot of impact for cities. I hope we can make, first of all, our own hometown, home city Vilnius, more livable and more walkable, where people tend to talk more, communicate more, have more places to meet each other. But also, lots of cities in America and in Asia, in Latin America, in China.
Oh my God, there are lots of work to do probably there.
So I hope we can create an impact over this, and if we can, affect 100 cities in the world, help them develop more sustainably, become more smart.
It's a number, 100.
Let's say
It's a number.
5 years,
At least
10 years.
10 years, 100
Just
cities.
cities.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a great answer. I really like that. So let's say we are top-notch investors. Could you sell your business idea in
30 seconds.
30 seconds or 1
Elevator
minute?
pitch.
Yeah.
No, 1 minute. 30 seconds.
30
It's an elevator pitch. So
Oh
who
my
will
God.
start?
The elevator is the hardest one. We have
Exactly.
a
I will take the time.
I gotta
You
start
go
now.
for the.
Yes,
Oh,
start now.
You're-
Jesus. I
I'm
don't
pitching
know.
tomorrow. So.
You have to do this.
When
you wake
it's
up
gonna be a
at
good
night.
practice.
Let's
So tell me when you're ready.
I'm ready.
1, 2, 3.
Dominikas, imagine you're a small business owner. Everything's stressful around you. You wanna expand your little store or your coffee shop or an ice cream stand, and you have to make that decision that's either going to make it or break your whole family, your whole investment. And by accident, you decide to open up somewhere in a neighborhood that hasn't seen it yet, and you start discovering these beautiful opportunities. People are walking, you're influencing people around you, you're selling your beautiful coffee and ice cream to everyone, and you're making people happy, you meet new people. And so Datahood can do that.
I was sitting listening
And the doors are opening.
and my imagination was like
Yeah, mine
drawing all
was,
the
I was
images.
like smelling already that coffee, tasting this ice cream. That's
Tasting
nice.
the ice cream.
Anyway, so,
How's the word taste?
do another take,
You
5
already
seconds.
sold me the ice creams and coffee. I'm in.
Division.
That was a great
Anyway, you
pitch.
got the
I
idea,
got
right?
it.
Are you ready, Silent?
I think after Matas.
You're gonna show your skills
Don't
tomorrow.
imagine.
Yeah.
Okay, Saula, so the next question will be for you more serious. You just finished the Rocket Impact Acceleration Program with one of the biggest telco company, Telia, right? And you had the pilot project. So what are your key takeaways from there and actually how you think after this experience you could help other businesses to be more sustainable or work together with other businesses to help city to be more sustainable?
Good luck.
Do I have
30
30
seconds. 30 seconds, go.
Yeah, so not 30 seconds. But to begin with, Rocket Impact Accelerator for us was like a gateway, to everything that we're doing today. Because before that, we were just two people brainstorming and thinking about big ideas, but no idea how to start with, how to do this. And during Impact Accelerator, we were led through all these things, and we got partner Telia, who trusted us in sharing their data with us, so we could analyze cities and make those decisions in order to make more sustainable cities. So working with Telia gave us a lot of experience in order to understand how to work with new data providers, with other big companies, and it's enormous. And I think for any startup, for any team that is thinking to start their journey as a startup, it's my best advice is to go and join such accelerators like Rocket Impact. And
Talking about other businesses?
yeah, talking about other businesses. So it led for us, of course, first of all, trust ourselves more and to understand what we're doing and how all the things are working. And then thanks to all these collaborations, we were able to start working with other businesses and show them the possibilities that they can have in order to make their businesses more appearing in those places that they willing to earn more, for example, or make more impact. So during Impact Accelerator, we started this pilot as a process. We had a few clients where we showed them the possibilities in different cities, one in Vilnius, one in Kaunas. So we started exploring our tool in general. We wanted to understand if the process that we are making, if the offer that we are making is valuable for other clients. So during the accelerator, we understood that, this is what we are doing. People first of all buy it. Other companies are interested in understanding where they would have more value, in which location, which would work better, and in which location they should do what exactly, so they could earn more and make bigger impact. So for us, it was just a gateway and literally accelerator. It accelerated us from just a nice idea to actually having clients and actually having companies at the same time thinking how their decisions could make a good impact on neighborhood, on city.
I think it's important to mention that the collaboration with Telia continues, and now we're exploring these opportunities, how our tool could help their clients. So we see this kind of merge and very interdisciplinary approach. Our tool, their processes, their clients. How could this whole thing be bridged together to achieve a better vision? And help businesses and so on.
A bigger scope.
Matas, this also probably brought you to one of the biggest climate change conference, COP26. So what are your key takeaways from there? What it was discussed there? What topics were brought there, and where actually we are moving forward for the sustainability?
I think general media likes to pick up on only negative things. It's, this didn't do this, and again another conference where everyone pledges to do something in next 5 years. Everyone's referring back to the Paris Agreement in 2016, right? And everyone's saying, nothing happened, and so I was participating in a conference, listening to a lot of great companies who are doing very, very impactful things on like a global scale. Organizations, think tanks, they're doing amazing stuff. Putting people first, putting planet first, and then talking about profits also, which is very important for growing something and making it impactful. And then I took a short break from the conference and I went to a protest. 10,000 people walking in there, with lots of posters and saying, this is wrong, this is that. There's lots of anger built up, and lots of other issues I saw, not only about carbon emissions and whatnot, but also people were talking about free Palestine and student debt, and these kind of things. So I think, lots of different problems. It's a platform for rage a little bit, And then I thought that we're not talking enough about positive things that are happening, companies that are doing positive things and making it profitable also, but also creating great impact. So during that process, we went through 3 different batches of different companies and stakeholders with panel discussions and pitches and so on. And it was focused on decarbonizing transport, environmental resilience, and food waste. And for me, we were in a decarbonizing transport batch. We're talking about, how can we cut CO2 emissions and so on. And then listening to food waste challenges, cutting down food waste, I realized it's also a decarbonizing transport challenge. Because look at the foods that travel from Latin America to Lithuania, from Africa to Lithuania for us to eat, and consume. But overall idea that I got, that there's a lot of people who are doing very, very great things, and they're very positive about it. So I think that it's easier to talk about negative things, because it attracts more attention. So, one negative thing is gonna take 4 positive things to take over. So, but I think my takeaway is that it was very, very positive, and we're doing great things for the planet and for people who live on the planet.
Do you also see Datahood as a part of this, all global challenge and helping to solve those problems? Do you see yourself already there?
Yeah, we wouldn't have been there otherwise. We're contributing and we're sending a great message, about walkability and about what impact walking creates, and so on. Of course, through the whole conference, there's a lot of people call it greenwashing, but I think it's just the focus on a certain direction, like electric vehicles, or renewable energy from solar and wind and so on. And these kind of things get lots of attention because it already has some companies like Tesla who boosts the interest in it, And then there's economic value behind the stock market of Tesla, so on. So, but I think my key point when I was presenting at the conference was that, we focus so much on batteries and how do we extract materials to create batteries and electrify this. But we forget the very, very basic principle that made us become who we are right now, which is 2 feet. And that only the last 100 years radicalized our planet very, very heavily, where before, where people walked or used horses, or used carriages, everything is very, very different.
It's so nice that technologies can help to fight the climate change, the bigger companies, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
And I can see we're running out of time. And my last question from me personally would be, what is your typical day at Datahood? Because you guys look like you have superpowers. Conferences, we're there doing that.
Coffee
talks,
Just
talking
basically
about the
media,
sustainable
photo
traveling.
shoot.
we just talk most of it. We don't work.
I call it, the saying business as usual. So one day I thought chaos as usual. There's so much going on.
We have very important question from the audience, and they are asking actually how your analysis is done and how actually your whole structure is working. So maybe that's your daily basis things what you do, and you could explain to our audience how really your work looks like from the technical perspective.
Yeah, from technical perspective, I think now this is the moment of shifting from, it's a very good description, more human analyst driven or AI driven. So I think we are shifting from one to another. We started as a human analyst driven because before building it and before selling it, we wanted to prove if there's anyone who's interested in this. So we, in the beginning, we started as doing it manually as a human analyst, just doing analysis and showing all the insights. But now we're shifting to automate it, to I cannot say AI fully, but more machine learning.
So
part of AI.
lots of to go.
In the near future,
In the
fully AI.
Okay, and
Hopefully not
So-
human fully.
So we don't have to go to work, and Datahood can run on its own.
And you
we
can
can-
live in your Mars.
Just
Yes.
drink
coffee and talk.
In a village
Yeah.
somewhere.
So the last question, because you are already Rocket community members, so 3 things you like the most about us.
Community.
People,
The same.
I think 3 things:
People,
community,
People,
humans,
human.
community. 3 things.
You just love people.
I just love people.
And coffee.
I think you work too long, just 2 of you two. So now you need a community to
Probably
to
Rocket is
build.
about positive things, building the brighter future and being happy.
No, but for real, one thing is that I think you guys do so much for us, and it's kind of it's amazing because you have this community, you put us in touch, you organize these kind of things to spread the message, and you introduce us to different environments, which is amazing, which would require an extra 2 people to do this if we were sitting somewhere in a private office, So big thanks to you guys, and I think 3 best things is 1, 2,
And 3.
you did that.
It
No,
is
all of your team is amazing, and I think working towards making everyone's experience in here wonderful. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you guys, and for those who are watching, thank you very much for watching and being with us. And if you want to become a part of this wonderful community or you want to join our events, you could go and visit www.rocketvilnius.com. Follow us on social media, Facebook, LinkedIn, or Twitter. Our accounts, we post a lot of news, a lot of events, a lot of live events. So you can watch us, come to visit us, and follow us today, tomorrow, and
Forever.
Yeah, so thank you very much for being with us. Have a nice day. Bye.
Thank
Ciao.
you.